our good friend and colleague Shirley, and she's got a great deal to say about technology and dyslexia. And this afternoon's topic is supporting reading beyond school. And the session will be recorded, so bear that in mind if you're going to put your camera or microphone on. So, Shirley, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. So just another welcome from me to this Call Scotland webinar. It's actually our last one of the webinar programme for the summer term. So that's quite exciting to think that we've got to this stage in the term already there. So as Paul said, I'm part of the Call Scotland team. I'm an assistive technology and ASN teacher. And we're going to be looking at how dyslexic learners can use assistive technology once they leave school to support them through further education and into the workplace. So I'll present for about 20 minutes, so it really will be a whirlwind session, and then take questions at the end there. So just to say, if you want to put your questions into the chat panel, please do that, and Paul will be keeping an eye on what's happening in the chat panel while I'm doing the presentation. And then at the end, after 20 minutes, we can have some questions, and Paul will store them all up for me and ask them at the end there. So it's all too common for learners with dyslexia in high school to become apprehensive about how the next step in their journey will go. That's our experience of working with learners in schools all over Scotland. So whether it's they're going on into further or higher education or going straight into the workplace, or we see a lot of dyslexic learners experiencing mental health issues and anxiety, and perhaps just going to take a gap year to decide what they're going to do next. But it's important that they take with them the technology supports and strategies they've used in school to support them with literacy tasks. And, you know, to be honest, these will be the lucky ones who have had the support and the training and the encouragement to use assistive technology in high school, because there will be many others who have not had this experience. And then they'll really find it tough when they have to move into a world where, you know, a human reader or scribe is not there when they need to read or write. So there's definitely an attempt to move learners away from requiring human support in examinations and assessments, where possible, and for some learners this is just not possible. But for dyslexic pupils, it's more likely that they can work independently if the right assistive technology is in place. So not to mention schools also needing to have access to devices and also digital exam papers. So I'm going to start with that. I'm just going to bring up here an example of a digital exam paper. So here we have a SQA National 5 environmental science paper. So what might a student be using? They have a dyslexic student have a reading difficulty, and so therefore they would require the text to be read out loud. Don't need a human reader to do that for them. They will be looking for some text-to-speech application to have this text read out loud. So I'm just going to put my camera off at the moment, so one less thing to think about as I do this demo. So what I'm going to use for this example is a text-to-speech reader called Natural Reader. So it's a free one. We really like it, not just because it's free, but it can also use the Scottish voices. So here I have my first question here, and I can just highlight the text and then click on the play button.
In Scotland's Caledonian forest, a variety of birds, including the chaffinch, siskin and the Scottish crossbill, are found.
So what we find with learners that are using text-to-speech is that if they're doing it independently with an application like Natural Reader, they're going to listen to that question until they understand it. If they're actually asking somebody to read it out to them, and they don't understand the question, they might ask the person to read it again, but what they're unlikely to do is to ask that person to read the question the number of times they require to actually understand it. So it's important to know that that's a real good advantage of using text-to-speech, because then they are able to work at their own pace and listen to the question as many times as they need so that they can understand the question. So if I just go down here, what else they might be using? So we've come to the question here. Let's just read out the next bit of the question here.
Chaffinches and siskin are in competition for food. Name one factor, other than food, which they may compete for.
Okay, so that supports their reading difficulties. Now perhaps they've got writing difficulties. I'm just going to put the cursor into the answer box there. So I'm on my Windows laptop, and I'm just going to use the shortcut key of Windows and H to use the built-in dictation on my Windows device here. So I'm just going to do that now. They may compete for food or nest materials. And then I've got my answer in the answer box there. So that's assistive technology being used in a digital exam setting, natural reader for text to speech, and the Windows built-in dictation to have the answer written down. So the difficulty writing, and they're able to use their voice there. So that is where we're talking about. This negates the need for someone scribing, and we have to think, because this just won't happen in the workplace. And often learners become very reliant on scribes if they're continued to be offered. So we need to encourage the use of all assistive technologies in high school, but not even just at the time of exams and assessments. We need to be offering it well down in early years in high school, even in primary school, so that the use of them is familiar and the learners become more confident using them. So let's think of beyond school. So a young person is going to be perhaps accessing the DVLA site and wanting to book a driving test there. So yes, I've got my natural toolbar that will sit up there as long as, doesn't matter what I've got on my screen, whether I'm in a PDF or whether I'm on a web page here. And I will be able to just again highlight some text here and then use the play to listen.
You'll be put in a queue when you start booking your driving test.
So quite good just to have the same thing that you're using across a number of different applications, because then it just becomes very familiar. But you'll see at the top here of the website, now again, I'm just reminding you, I'm in the Edge browser. At the top here to the right of the URL, I've got this little A with the 2 lines above it, and that is read aloud option. So that's built into the Edge browser. So I'll click on that and let you see what that sounds like.
Book your driving test. Book your practical driving test for cars, motorcycles, lorries, buses, and coaches.
So the read aloud is a nice little tool because it does that nice highlighting as it goes along. So you've got your yellow background. So that's called using dual modality, where you're using 2 senses. You're hearing the word and you're listening to, you're hearing the word and you're seeing the word that's being spoken out to you. So that's just built in there on the Edge browser. But even further tools that are available on the Edge browser on some sites. So let me just click onto another site here. So thinking about somebody who is going for a job and they're having an interview and they're kind of looking up to see what potential questions they might be asked. So they've come to this website here. So yes, at the top, we've got the read aloud option there, but I also beside it can see I've got the immersive reader option. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this, which is available across many Office 365 applications. But when I do see that there, I want to encourage my learners to be able to click on that and just put the website into immersive reader mode. So I'm going to click on that now and you'll see the difference. So let me move the natural reader toolbar there. So that's what the web page looks like now. So nice, clear interface, immediately much more accessible. And it's got an aqua background there. I might prefer a different color, so I can just click on the text preferences there and perhaps just change it to yellow. So lots of options for being able to personalize it there, just in terms of the background color. Clearly, the worst combination is a white background with black text. So at all possible time, we're looking to change that. And it's nice when it's just built in there. Now, I'm going to just quickly bring up a website here to show you the reading experience of somebody with dyslexia. Potentially, again, I'm generalizing, but if this is what their experience is like with the letters moving around in the words and the words moving on the page, and what tends to happen is your eyes moving to one line above and one line below. It just makes the reading experience really difficult. But if I go back to this website here and I want to just put on an extra bit of focus there, I can go to the reading preferences, Click on that and switch on line focus. And now I've got this really nice bar that appears here, and I can, if that's my only difficulty, I don't perhaps have a reading difficulty, I just have this, my eyes jumping from one line to the other, I might just go down to the bottom there, and then I can just toggle down to line by line as I like, as I read, as I go along, still got my background colour on, and I can just click down the page there. But I might be a learner who requires the background colour, the line focus, and for the text to be read out loud. So therefore I would just go to the top there and click on read aloud.
Your skills, experience, education, and character traits in a certain role. And
so nicely it will just read it out again, highlighting as we go along there. Always when you're using text-to-speech, check what voice options you've got. That just appears up at the top there. We don't have Scottish voices yet in Immersive Reader. We're always hopeful of that, but we have a number of all the Microsoft voices that are available there. And just check the speed is a speed that the learner or yourself want to use, because if it speaks too fast and you're not understanding the text, then that's not any good. And conversely, if it's too slow, it just gets a bit annoying there. So that, again, a reminder, that is using the Edge browser and using the Immersive Reader tool there. So there's other tools within there that you can use, but these would be the key ones that would support somebody with dyslexia. And clearly, if you're in your further education or in a workplace, you can access the web page that you're looking at in that browser, then you would be hoping that Immersive Reader tools were there. And if the Immersive Reader's not there, then we have the Read Aloud option, which is available on all websites there. So if your employer wants you to read a report and there's no reason you can't use text-to-speech tools to support your reading, and you know, in the workplace, an employer should be aware of your dyslexia and be offering tools to support your challenges. And so I always think, remember, adjustments made for some staff will all benefit all staff. And we always say that in an education setting, adjustments made for some students will often benefit all students. So through the Job Centre, a workplace assessment of the individual's needs can be carried out. And this is really helpful for the employer and the employee. So there is a Dyslexia Scotland guide on just talking about a guide for employers there. And this guide outlines some of the difficulties a dyslexic person might have at work, perhaps in terms of, you know, not finding easy to write reports and struggling with planning and organisation. Reading emails, if they're having to decode words, that could be quite time consuming, and even just getting information from a website, you know, they're needing support for that. But we're also thinking about the advantages of employing a dyslexic person, because the chances are they'll have good people skills and they'll be a creative thinker, very good at practical aspects of the job and problem solving too. So if we think about the difficulties with a written report, we could be thinking of offering some of these assistive technology tools. So just bringing up a Word document here, what could be using there? In terms of spell checking, so we've clearly got our red squiggly lines showing up there. Now I can just right click on the words individually, and then I have given some choices there just to check. If I want to double check, that's the one I want. I just keep clicking on write and read it out loud there.
Emissions similar to releases, productions, discharges.
It's always useful if you have in a spell checking context that you have the chance to listen to the options being read out, and that will help you choose the right word. So I could go through individually and click on each one there, and if I come to the right word, then I could change it, or I could, if I know it's definitely right, I can add it to autocorrect. So next time you go to type it, it will be corrected there. Or I can go up to the top and go to the editor tool. Clicking on editor tool, that will gather all my spelling mistakes. So I can see I've got 3 spelling mistakes and 1 grammar one there. So I just clicked on grammar, it's going to highlight there, and it's going to give me a suggestion, which is exactly what I would be wanting to change it to. So I can click on that there. So lots of support you can get there within the Word document for reading. In terms of writing reports, one of the easiest things you could be trying to use is speech to text. Now in Word, you have got that built in, as you have with many other applications. So we're not being sort of too device specific here. If you're in a Chromebook or using a Google document, you might be using voice typing or Siri on the iPad. But here we are in our Word document, and I can just use the dictate tools there. So click on the microphone. I'm not wearing a headset. I've just got my built-in mic on the laptop, so I can click on there and be able to get support for writing. It's going to be much quicker for me to dictate my notes for this report rather than typing. And it will also mean I'll have no spelling mistakes, which really boosts my confidence to use more complex vocabulary. Always remember to switch off at the end, or it will keep on recording what you say. So I can just have a look at that to see whether I need to make any mistakes, but somebody else might just immediately just bring up Natural Reader, highlight it and have it read out loud if you need that level of checking. What it's done there, the dictate there, it's automatically put punctuation in there. So if I go back to up to the dictation here, and go to settings, I've got the chance to enable it or disable it. Sometimes if you pause too long, it will put a full stop in incorrectly, and that can be a little bit annoying, but you've got the chance to try that out with the auto punctuation under settings. So that's speech to text there. And the other thing we're thinking when we're talking about what might be difficult in the workplace, well, if they find reading emails difficult, then in my Outlook here, I've got two choices. I've got Read Aloud and I've got Immersive Reader. So I'm going to have that level of support to have them read out loud. So lots of really good things that you can have supportive in the workplace there. And to support planning and organisation, a OneNote notebook is a great way of doing that. So I'll just bring that back up here. So thinking about OneNote notebook in terms of cloud-based organisation, doesn't matter what device you log into your Office 365 account, you will have the information that you saved on OneDrive automatically saves and syncs to another device. So really useful. We use it all the time at work, and we've seen it very well used in schools and colleges and universities too. So not only is it good for organisation, there's a lot of really good built-in assistive tools to support the learner. So we have dictation, will allow you to dictate within a page in OneNote. If your voice is not clear enough for dictation, then you may be looking to use just create an audio note. I have a little note here on how to do that. So within OneNote, go to insert and record audio there. So you could just be saving a little MP3 file as well. Yeah, as I see Paul's just put, everyone should use it. Yes, no, absolutely. It's a really good tool. And whether or not you're using the assistive tools or not, it's really excellent for organisation and help with your planning as well, which is a key area of difficulty for a dyslexic learner. So we're thinking about university, what support is there beyond school? So there should be lots of easy to access support for dyslexic school leavers going on into higher education and further education, which is great because it can be a tense and uncertain time. And the world beyond the school gates can seem a bit scary. But here at the University of Edinburgh, they have some really good information for dyslexic people applying to the university, and it all happens through the Disability and Learning Support Service, which was previously known as the Student Disability Service. And they say, one of their quotes is, if you've had support in the past while studying, we're always interested to know what has worked for you and what hasn't. However, we won't automatically replicate previous support. We need to know what will work best for you in the context of your studies here at the University of Edinburgh. So I think that's a really nice idea because they're talking about personalising the support, and we always have to think, technology is always moving on, so we shouldn't just accept, well, this is what you used 5 years ago and you're going to continue to use it. There might be new tools out there that are better for you, and perhaps your needs have changed as well, so we need to keep having a look at that there. And it is essential that all resources are available to dyslexic students digitally in advance of lectures or workshops. And I know in the reality is some lecturers are better at doing this than others, but it's not acceptable to view this as an option. It would certainly contravene the Equality Act of 2010 there. And I just saw, actually yesterday, saw this article about one university apologising and not being able to meet their needs there of a dyslexic student. And so that's a good reminder there that absolutely we have to meet their needs. And if you don't, then the chances are then you could have to pay a hefty fine, but we hope it wouldn't come to that. We would hope it would just be there for students and that they've got that support there. So again, in terms of support, you can apply for funding for equipment and software and apps through the Disability Students Allowance, the DSA there. So we talk about digital resources all the time and how useful it is to have digital resources because we can then use our text-to-speech tools to have the text read out loud. But there still is a lot of paper out there, and in life you'll still have to read letters and menus and posters. So what could you use to have text on paper read out loud? So the easiest thing we would suggest is to use a scanning app on your phone or tablet. So this slide here just gives some apps that will do this OCR, the optical character recognition process. So the first one is Seeing AI. We've got Claro Scan Pen. We've got Microsoft Lens. It used to be Office Lens. And we've got, even in OneNote, you've got the chance to have the text read out loud. All these apps are free apart from Claro Scan Pen. All pretty much doing the same job, but now the real good advantage is now that if you have an iPhone or iPad with iOS 15 or above, you can do this OCR scanning just using the camera. So basically take a picture of the text. You'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see this sign here, which is the sign for live text. Tap on that, and then you're able to use the built-in speak selection on your iOS device to have the text read out loud. So knowing about these possibilities and having every eventuality covered is hugely reassuring if you have dyslexia. Just one other thing I'd noticed on the Edinburgh University site, they have implemented lecture recording called Replay, and this has been tailored to support the university's policy on inclusive and accessible learning. So the lecture recording policy is like an additional resource for students. They're saying not a substitute for attendance, but just to provide an alternative format to enhance the accessibility of a live delivered lecture. So that would go alongside your notes that you'll be provided by your lecturer, and then you're able to have that in advance as well, to have a look at the notes to see what would be ready for you when you're coming to the lecture and have you best prepared for that. So where would you get more support? Dyslexia Scotland website has some information in general for children, young people, adults with dyslexia. Also, if you want more information in terms of the technology to support dyslexia, then AbilityNet has got some good information there. And of course, our Call Scotland site has some great information. Yes, we primarily support children and young people at school, but the technology is the same as you would if you were an adult or student in further education setting or in the workplace there. So that has been a real whirlwind. I'm really quite pleased I've kept that down to 22 minutes there. But you can see there's absolutely tons to cover. And the main thing for us is that we want to help learners that are leaving school, dyslexic learners, to give them the confidence that they will cope in the world beyond the school gates, and with the right assistive technology in place and support, and if they're struggling, to know where they can go for help is really important too. So Paul, have there been any questions that have been asked as we go along, or if anyone's got any questions now, please feel free to put them in the chat panel. You're still on mute, Paul.
Apologies, I should be able to do this by now. Yeah, nobody's put any questions as yet, but Mrs. Sutherland says, will these links in the chat pane be available in the recorded version or perhaps elsewhere in notes? I believe so. Robert, yes. Can you answer that?
They're not, no. It only sends out the archive.
Okay.
But we could.
Well, what I can do, because I've got all the links, I could just add them into an extra slide on the presentation, and then I can share the presentation with all the links and then just click on them all. So I'll do that there. But
Cool.
Okay.
Hiya.
Can I ask, is there any app that converts PDF to Word without changing and disturbing the format? Because, usually when you change a PDF into Word document for kids to work, for example, there is a, what I'm looking for here is sometimes teachers give them handouts in history or something. And, I would like them to highlight that on OneNote. We use OneNote.
Okay.
And maybe add what they think, or, summarize and create, paragraphs into that. And I haven't found anything that can convert PDF to Word.
On what device, Kanika, would you be using it on?
Well, boys in my school have Surfaces, and some of them have a Mac as well.
Okay. I'm not familiar on a Mac there, but I know that you could be saving a PDF as a Word document and doing it just automatically converts into Word, and then you could do editing from there.
Because I have tried that. It just disturbs the whole format of a document. Sometimes
okay.
font changes, sometimes spacing changes. It just completely disturbs the format. So I was wondering if there's anything new. I have used Word to PDF, PDF to Word converters, and some
Yes.
of them are paid as well. But I just wondered if you know anything better.
So I'm just wondering, Paul, whether the Claro PDF Pro app would be able to do.
I think it's just we've got a fundamental problem. If it's I'm sure you found this. If it's a straightforward file with a straightforward layout, you can convert it from PDF to Word and you'll get quite good results. But if it's got a complex layout, a textbook, maths book, elements all over the page, you drag it into Word, and as far as I can see, all of the PDF to Word converters just don't do a very good job. So unfortunately, I think the answer is no. I don't know of anything which can do a good job with complex layouts.
Especially, if there's a table, a history table, geography, you have case studies, everything gets disturbed.
Yeah.
With us, when you convert it.
Yeah,
okay.
No,
and my second question was, on OneNote, where is the dictate feature? I know there's an audio recording feature. Where is the dictate feature on OneNote?
Let me just bring it up here. So if I was on my home tab here in OneNote, I've got dictate here.
Okay. All right.
Obviously, this tab, the bar at the top will be different depending what features you've got, but it is built in. I'm using the installed version OneNote 2016.
Okay, because I don't see that on my OneNote. I don't know whether it's an app or an online version. That might be different.
Okay. I also have it on my online one as well there. But sometimes you do have to add things on as well, just like if you were in Word, where you're adding it under options, adding things in there. But it should be in there, so you can just basically dictate into the page.
Yes, no, that's a brilliant thing. OneNote is amazing.
Yes, yes. No, good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got a feeling that OneNote on the iPad, the app, doesn't have dictate. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's when you can still put your cursor into the OneNote page and use Siri. The keyboard comes up and you're using Siri. So
I think that's it. That's Microsoft probably don't have it in the iOS version of OneNote because you've got Siri dictation on your iPhone or iPad.
Yes. A question: a good app to change handwritten maths equations to text. Even just because I'm in OneNote here, let me add a new page and see if I can try that out. If I go to the draw tool here and start to draw in a maths equation, I'm doing it with my mouse, so let's see how it works out. Oh, I'm trying to write an A there. Let me try again. You've got the maths tools there. Let me just add another page and try again here. Okay, so I want to write 5. Let's just go with C plus 4A equals. And then I can use the lasso tool here, just clicking on that there, dragging that over my calculation. And then I'm going to do the ink to math here. So converts handwritten math into typed numbers and symbols. So just clicking on that there, and actually you can see it's actually opened up on my second screen here, and I'll bring it over here. It hasn't picked it up well there, so definitely something better if you're using a stylus on a tablet to be able to do that. But that should do some of the calculations there that you want with this ink to text and then ink to math, and then you've got your math assistant, which will appear down here. And if you were doing a particular type of sum, then see, it's just not picked up the equal there. It would give me the chance to, it will give you other examples of similar types of sums. So it's like a quick little quiz at the bottom there. So that's just one of the options there. We've also got there, we've got, or using Equatio as another text help product. That's a really good one. Diane says that as well. Equatio.io is good. Equatio is good for maths there as well. So yeah, we've got lots of links in there and lots, and I can imagine people will want to keep them. So I'll make sure that I save all the chat and make sure that we have that saved so that anybody that wants to access that, we'll make sure that you do there. So thank you, Paul, for all these links being put in there. And Diane's also saying on Google, you can use Orbit and you can also use Kami, both let you highlight and add on to PDFs. So rather than changing the PDF into Word so that you can edit it, you've got tools, editing tools within the PDF there as well. So thank you for that, Diane. Good, thank you, Fran. I'm glad that was good. I hope it has been helpful. You know, as I say, we always like to think of our students at school, but we do want to help them move on into further and higher education or into the workplace, and make them feel that their difficulties that they experience through having literacy difficulties are not going to hold them back. If we can get the right assistive technology in place, then that will help them. And we also, you know, it's about a confidence thing as well. I think we don't want people to lose confidence, and if you have the right technology in place, that can help them work and live independently. So we'll probably just wrap up the session there, Paul, if don't think there's any more questions. Thank you to Robert for recording. Thank you for everyone for coming along today. And thank you, Paul, for being there and helping out.
Great, thanks very much, Shirley, and wish everybody the best of the rest of this sunny day.
Yes, absolutely. Right. Cheers. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye.